Hello, everyone. It's Veronica Bartolini, Codebreaker Real Talk. Today is Friday, and we are still in 2022, the year of no regret. And I have my beautiful special guest and also one of my co-hosts, um, Chad Cooper. And welcome, Chad. I can't wait to hear all about what has been going on and inspiring you today. How's the
Thank you
weather
very
over
much.
there?
Warm and wonderful, finally.
Yes.
Spring is in the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
Chad, we were talking about how we want to we want you. I would love for you to talk about how is it that you ran across me and others to help you find your answers. What were you seeking? You know, a few months ago. What has it been? Maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago. What has transpired? What happened to you that you're just exploding. You're awesome and your awesomeness and your bioluminescence that we talk about. How was it when you were a little kid to your teenage years to your adult years? Did you ever um, find out you were different? What any kind of experiences you would like to share? Please. Thank
Yeah, we can start off with that.
you.
Thank you. Yeah, so finding you was the end of the journey, and not fitting in was the beginning of my journey. And I can't claim that I didn't fit in like initially, because I have this beautiful memory of being under 5, maybe under 4.5, something like that, in those first 4.5 years, where I shined, where if you handed me 2 cookies, I was saving one for my sister if she was out playing. I just was so happy in a sense. Yeah. And then around the age of 5 is when everybody noticed the light just went out of my eyes. You couldn't see it. I was completely dull in my pictures, school pictures, and everything else. I wore the smile still, but my eyes, the sparkle went away from my eye. And my mom thought it was because of the divorce, and that was a logical, you know, so, that was a logical thing for her to come up with. I always tried to tell her that it wasn't. Um, and then as I've come to find out, there's a lot more to that than met the eye. And it's interesting too, because like between the age and 5, I have a lot of my memories. I can remember Christmases, I can remember presents, I can pretty much tell you just about every single one for some reason. There's so many details I can tell you about that part of my life. And I can't tell you a single Christmas tree or a single present or birthday present I got after it. And from what I understand, I was abducted and used between the age of 5 and 15. And that seems to fit with with the way my life has flown. And the part about not fitting in, I can remember, this isn't so much, well, let's say between the age of 5 and 10, I just kind of saw myself as being Pinocchio. I felt like the wooden boy. I just wanted to be real. I didn't fit in with the other kids as much. It didn't help that my new stepmother, who is a work of art. I don't know if you've ever seen Dangerous Liaisons, but she can give that lady Glenn Close a run for her money in that movie. She controlled the town. She was a spider that spun the web. And I know in those games, in the super soldier games, the way they do the hierarchy and the way they play the games with each other, she was queen.
Sounds like she put you in the programs herself. Like she made a deal with, say, a pact with the devil. You know,
I may have to ask her about that. I don't know if she knows about the space program. I know her father was in the Navy and he was definitely part of it. My father was in my father's father was in World War II. And I know my father was in the program. And I know those two were brought together after my mother and my father were brought together to have us. I can remember my mother as a child calling out the color of the cars and getting them right every single time when they came around the corner. She was that psychic and all her dreams would come true. She didn't have the common sense to know that Dr. Richard Ferber, who is part of the Let Your Baby Cry syndrome, wasn't correct. And she didn't have the intuition to know that when your child, you can fry an egg on your child's head, you know, something's not right. But my father had that intuition, and he has it so strong. Good luck sneaking up on him in the middle of the night. I can feel him feeling me. And so I got those two elements inside of me, except that I believe they blocked my my capacity to visualize at the age of 5, because I seem to have quite an active visual memory before that. And then after that, nothing. I can remember being in kindergarten and first grade and copying the spelling words off of the board incorrectly and having to sit on my bed for 2 days at a time each time I did that. And each time I would make a mistake, it would add on another 2 days. So the next week it would be 4 days. I basically sat on my bed for months. I could not copy the words off the board correctly. My mother would leave me in the parking lots when we left the grocery store because I was just in a daze and I just fell behind and was in another world, didn't know where I was. And she'd get in the car, drive away, turn around, come back and say, "What the heck are you doing? You need to pull yourself out of the clouds and pay attention. You know, you keep daydreaming and falling behind." Well,
You know, it's funny, Chad, that you mentioned that about the words. Because
off of the board.
yeah, I also had a really, really, really hard time. And I would use these index cards. And then I would record myself on the old school recorder with the tape so that I could get it right. And I noticed something happened last night that we talked about in private. And I noticed that I couldn't spell. I was trying to look something up on the Netflix. And I was like, wait, how do you spell Raiders of the Lost Ark? How do you spell Raider? I could not spell it. And then I'm like, okay, I after E after, what is the rules? And I'm glad you brought that up.
Okay, that goes a little further too, because I also can't find objects. I remember calling my mother into the fridge as a teenager to say, "I know there's ketchup in this fridge," and I can't find it. It was right in the front. Here's an orange thing to give you an example. It was literally not in the side of the doors where I thought. Somebody just took it and set it right in the front, and I couldn't see it. I looked everywhere and couldn't. She says, "It's right there. It's right there in front of your face." I also had this huge, major thing where I could not recognize faces. And it's been a major embarrassment for me in my life. So if I were to say, be around the mothers of people I was hanging around with, kid wise, and then I'd see them in the store, I wouldn't recognize them because it wasn't in the same place and they were wearing something different. I used to have to ask my mother, "Are they twins?" I can't tell if they're twins or not twins. I'm like, "Is that this actor or that actor?" I cannot recognize for the life of me faces. Now I've gotten a lot better at it, but I know that's part of the programming that they put into me. But it really pisses me off because I want my photographic memory. I want my memory back. I want my ability to visualize. And I feel like there is something that they deliberately put there to keep me from visualizing. Because I access my visual cues like no other, but for the life of me, I cannot visualize. If I do get a visual, it's because I was given one, or my higher self let me see one, you know. So in a sense, I like that too, because I'm very clear on when I'm getting a message.
Yes, I'm glad you brought that up too about the refrigerator, because I have a running joke with my mom, and I would always ask her, "Ama, ¿dónde está esto? Mom, where is this? I can't find it in the refrigerator." And she would say, "Oh, ha de estar en el excusado. Oh, it must be in the toilet." And I mean, it's funny now.
Meaning she ate it.
Oh my God, that's funny. I never thought about that. and then about the face, I'm really good at recognizing faces, but with names, and I've talked to Susan Emart about this too, because we were both, you know, she was a detective, I was a cop, and she's like, "I'm really good with faces too, but I don't know what it is about the names." But with you, they did the reversal.
No, I didn't get names. I can't do names either. It's all around. But I do have more of a photographic memory with my ear. I mean, I'll repeat things more. I think the name thing though, they did something in there. It really surprises me. I have to say, okay, through all of this, I will say, my introduction to the SSP program was when Penny Bradley did the interview with Project Camelot, or it's no longer Project Camelot, but Carrie Cassidy. And I'd spent my life trying to figure myself out, trying to figure out everyone else around me. researching psychology, researching behavior, researching everything that I could research to figure out everything else behind. So was very fascinated when she came out and she was connecting all the dots that I had missing, that I had missing space for. She was pulling all my stories together and it was making sense. She was talking about the multiple personality. That's something I was obsessed with as a child, just having to understand how people with multiple personalities thought. I just was determined. I told my mom, I'm going to meet one day. I'm going to analyze them. I'm going to get to be their friend. I'm going to learn how they think. I need to know what a multiple personality is. I have to know how a deaf person thinks. They can't talk to themselves. How do they think? I need to know how a blind person thinks. I used to just obsess over this as a child over and over and over again. So I've always been trying to figure things out that way. And when she came, and I did hypnotherapy for a long time, regressing people back in their lifetimes, doing past life regressions and everything else under that umbrella. But there's just certain things that didn't connect. And when Penny Bradley came on with that space program, as crazy as it sounded, it made everything in my world connect. It made the picture solid. And so I was locked onto the space program. And then she kept saying, we can't get therapists. We can't get people to help us. Nobody wants to touch us with the 10-foot pole. And I'm like, I do.
I know.
I do.
They want evidence.
You know, I do. I'll give you free service. I let me come down. I live 3 hours from you. And she's like, I'm confused about what you're asking. And I'm like, I'm offering you therapy. I want to develop a system here so we can help others, you know, but she had already lost 4 other hypnotherapists and there's no way she was going to take me on after that. Understandable.
That's part of your future too. You know, you're going to be helping us. And I don't like the word.
I hope so. You know, I plan on using Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds and scalar waves and whatever the heck we need to use to get our altars back and integrated. And if they don't like me saying that, oh, well, I'm protected.
Yeah, we are. The Alice.
I am protected.
Yes.
You cannot kill me.
No, we can't. They can't.
And if you kill anything around me and my firewalls come down, you're going to find out that Dexter programming you ran through me is in full effect.
Yeah.
My house is clean.
Wow. Now you're skipping. Your video skipping. Yeah, they don't like it when we tell them. We know those programs that they used on us, especially the Samurai program, the Kruger program, the Assassin Creed program. We're going for you. If you mess with us, our children, our bloodline, our friends, we're going for you. There's no way you can stop us anymore. I don't care how many high-pitched noises you give us. I don't care how many warnings you give us. I don't care how much anxiety you try and give us. Your bloodline will no longer exist if you come after me, my friends, and our families.
No. Do you want to know the epiphanies I had this week after the last show we did?
Yes, please.
They shut my heart energy down in that program. And they did it using that, what do they call it? Twin flaming. And
they did it
because of my sexuality. Yes. They didn't know. So they were twin flaming me with the wrong gender. And so it didn't work. And but I have this memory as a child around 6 or 5, around 5. From what I was told is I wouldn't do what they wanted in the program. So they took my dog in the 3D. And so they caused a Jeep wreck when I was like 4 or 5, threw us out of the Jeep. Jeep went over the hill. Dog went missing. Sorry, major trigger. That the dog thing is a major trigger for me for some reason. So where was I going, Veronica? About the dog.
Well, you know, you mentioned the word dog and I'm thinking Resident Evil. I can't even watch that because of the stupid ass dogs that they threw at us. Okay, so they caused a wreck and the dog went flying and you couldn't find it, and they attacked all of them.
Oh, I know where I was going. Yeah. They shut down our heart energy. And so when you don't do what they want and they can't make you do what they want, they threaten you in your 3D life, from what I understand. And so they took my dog. And and I don't know what else they've done in that program, but I have this strong ability to love unconditionally without feeling it. It's like I'm bubble wrapped in my heart. And the other day I realized it after we were having our session. I'm like, and I was saying, our power is in our heart. That's what made me navigate to you for therapy, is your heart oriented when in your therapy, and our heart first. And so I was laying with my puppy and I'm petting her and I'm just thinking about how much I love her and how much I enjoy her and how pretty she is to me. And I wanted to open up my heart to her and feel her. And I couldn't, because if she got taken from me, I can't allow that. I can't allow my heart to open to her and feel that, which is the very thing I need to do. Because I am a firm believer, as we discussed in the last video, that the heart can unlock their programming. I don't care what blocks they put up. I don't care how many words they put to those blocks. The heart can fry through it all if it wants to. But to open up your heart, I can say I'm not afraid to open up my heart, but it feels painful to love that deeply, knowing the loss that's attached to it. There's a price tag, there's always that value that attaches to it. Like, they could take my dog now and I could process it mentally, and I could, my firewalls would come down and everybody would fry for it. But I'm just saying, I could deal with it. But to open my heart up to her is really opening me up, in a sense. So I got to stop doing that. Even you guys, I kept telling you, Veronica, this is overwhelming for me. The group was overwhelming for me. I love it. It's overwhelming. I have to take it in little tiny breaths, because I felt my heart opening up. I'm like, I would give my life for Susan. I can see her as the type of person, I can't explain it. I can see her.
Me too.
I can see her. I know her.
Yes.
And if she's in trouble, I'll cross borders. And this is for Lindsay. This is for any of the other ones that were with us.
That's what our hive mind that we created ourselves, with our soul, with our heart space. That's what I've done, and that's what we're doing here right now today, Chad.
And then I started holding a knife to my chest, a big old butcher knife, and then a big old butcher knife to my wrist. And then I slammed it into the counter and started punching through the walls, because my mega programming started kicking in or something. And I just had to, it was the most rage I'd ever felt, and then I was like, okay, I got a grip on it, but it'll kick it in. I'm like, I figured it out. But as soon as I start to open my heart, how scary is it to open your heart? I mean, somebody can be the cock of the walk and say, you know what, if you come at me, I'm coming after you. Well, guess how I'm coming after you? I'm coming after you Ender game style. I'm opening my heart. I'm going to fall in love with you. And then I'm going to destroy you for what you did. I'm not coming out with fists flying and calling your mama all sorts of names. Right. I'm going to figure you out. I'm going to figure you out. That's the angle we have to take in this. If we're going to win this game.
Yes. Yes.
You have to love your enemy first in order, and I understood that there are certain things in movies that really spoke to me, and that was one of them.
Yeah. And you could also bring up Stockholm syndrome, when I was abused by these people, men, then you develop some kind of love for them, which is so sick, because it's not right. It's not right.
I've been accused of that with my stepmom.
Yeah.
From the past that raised me, she forced me to sit on my bed for months at a time with no toys, no books, just 2 walls and some stuffed animals. I would sit there as a boy, but you got to keep in mind, she went through the programming. Every game she played was part of that programming.
So
she wanted me separate. She wanted me separate. I didn't know at the time that there was a secret space program, but I knew this lady was, she was something else. That I watched her. I watched her and I played the game carefully. She taught me well. I've always loved her because I felt like she abused me with boxing gloves. I didn't get brass knuckles and bruises and broken bones. I got boxing gloves.
Wow.
I had to sit on my bed for months at a time with no books and toys and stare at 4 walls. And this is back in the day when they took the plaster and smeared it so it made like little designs on the wall. Yeah. I remember going and getting my IQ tested because I was so concerned I was stupid. I was the first guy in 5 years to solve all their puzzles on their test. when he was sitting there with the ink blots showing them up to me and asking me what I saw, I went for almost a half an hour and I said, well, if you turn it upside down, I'm also seeing this. And if you turn it this way, I'm also seeing that.
Mhm.
I finally said, I'm embarrassed. I'm going to stop. And he says, you just keep going. So I kept going, but I finally just stopped because I was that embarrassed.
They did that when I was in second grade. The you know, what is this? What do you see? I'm like, well, I see tons.
Yeah. But I think those were the times when they were taking me the most because I was isolated and I was,
Yes,
you
Yes.
know,
you're right.
and I think it was all part of the program. She would get taken and they would tell her what to do and she'd come back without the memory. And the next thing I know, it was happening.
Yeah.
It was quite amazing looking at back at it all, how they orchestrate this. And that's a question I have. Is it AI that's doing this? How in the hell do they know who are twin flaming, or do they create that twin flaming effect, or do they find it? Or how do they know to pair my step? How did they know to break up my mother and my father? You know, they got married at 21 and 19. My mom had me at 19. They were young. And then my stepmother came into the picture 6 years later. And a Playboy bunny suit. She was wearing ears. It was on Halloween. She knocked at the door. She had on this kitty suit, actually. She had on little whiskers and a nose and bunny ears and a bathing suit. And her little friend was with her, you know, the one that drowned me one time in the lake. Still have that memory. We're all up there swimming and she just held my head underwater and I was a child. She was an adult. All these little triggers that pop up, you know, they're from behind the scenes. So I forget what I was going to say about this lady, but I'm so grateful for her. I see how she infiltrated our life, but how do they know? How did they know? It's got to be an AI. There's no way a human is orchestrating this, or a group of humans or elites sit there and know my business so well that they know when to interject somebody. That's where I'm a little confused. I don't know if I've heard that being talked about before. How are they orchestrating all these gang stalkers? How are they orchestrating all of this?
I know, because it's the CIA love bite, and it's the CIA and the other agencies, okay, that they already know us. Since we were born, they prick our little feet and they track us. They know, like the big eye in the sky, or eye of Metatron, or the eye of Yahweh. They use the technology. I see it. They use the Alice twins. They use the AI, the drones, to follow you. If you look, come on, if you look at, you know this, right? If you look at the science fiction, these movies that have all of these monitors everywhere in the world, and because of our frequency, we were talking about this, Chad, last week, I think you and I, that they know how to hone in our frequency.
Who's they? It's not a human.
No, it's what it is. It's the ETs. It's the ETs.
That's where it's being. They're watching our lives, aren't they?
The gods. It's the gods of this earth. Like I say, the God wars. Okay, everybody has their own gamer, their own player. I don't know how many are looking at me right now. How many are looking at you? How many are in charge of every day sending you spam calls, whatever, you know, in your dreams, trying to infiltrate maybe your stepmom being there, and maybe, you know, to create fear. Or with me, it could be the ex, you know, or my mom, whatever. Whoever it is that you had a bad relationship with, or it could even be, you know, the things that they use in movies, such as The Nun. That one, when I saw that one, I had to come home and do the sage, do the Palo Santo, do the whole, because they tap into your DNA. They tap in with fear.
Alien, not
Yes.
the human. That's where this is orchestrated from. Because the thing that got me questioning this is my past life, I was Black. I was lynched, and I was lynched by 3 people that were KKK, allegedly. One was hardcore, one was like sort of into it, and the other one was just following along. I've been in relationships with each one of those 3 people in this lifetime. The one that was strictly KKK came back Jamaican, Black as can be. The other one that was kind of, you know, just in, you know, didn't really give a shit one way or the other, came back mulatto. He was half Polish and half African, famous actor in Poland. Now teaches at Williams College in that sense. Then the other one was white because his heart wasn't in it, you know. So I kind of got the sense of who they were. This is my intuition talking to me.
No, I
How
see.
in the heck did this but these people were also in this secret space program with me. This follows lifetimes. Those 3 people were in my lifetime in my last lifetime, and now they're in my lifetime this lifetime in the secret space program. Whatever entity is controlling things also knows my last lifetime and knows that those people were in my lifetime, or those souls. It's interesting how advanced that level is.
Yeah, because I told you.
Because they can really make it seamless. I'm telling you right now, my intuition is through the roof. Good luck getting something past me. If I can't stand the sound of your voice, it's because you're lying, and I'll stop listening to you. My intuition always tells me. If you're telling me something I don't want to hear, but I like your voice and you got an annoying voice, but it doesn't bother me, then you're telling me something I need to hear. My intuition always speaks to me. I did not have a clue. I did not have a clue. And let me get into that, because this is where it got really shocking. Here I am watching Penny Bradley, watching all her, obsessing, watching everything that she has to say, thinking, wow, this lady is connecting every single dot I have, and then watching all the people she had on there. Never thinking in a million years I would be on the same stage as her, not stage, but same platform as I was the observer and she was the one that was used in the programs. I didn't think I was the program. I wanted to be the therapist. I wanted to be the one that connected to the group and figured people out and helped everyone out. It wasn't until I paid for a psychic, and I don't advise this for everyone. If you feel like you trust your psychic and your intuition is good, and I've gone through them all and I'm down to 2 right now, and I know this one's damn good. I call him, his name is Ivan Teller. He's who I use a lot. And Ivan, Avinan, and then Teller, Teller. He doesn't always tell you exactly what you want to hear, but he's also not going outside his box. He kind of, I like the way he receives his information, and I can get a lot from it. Well, I just randomly asked him one day out of curiosity, because it just kept haunting me. I'm like, there's just no way I could be a super soldier. I'd have some memory of it. I'd have some sense of it. I'd have something. It's impossible. And he said, yeah, absolutely. You were used in it.
When you told me about that you felt you were Dexter, I'm like, yeah, they used you.
I've been called Dexter a lot. I want to talk about that next. But this whole coming, I want to say this because I want people to know out there how difficult it was. Like I had to realize, I had to think, okay, Kelly Coffee is just now kind of exploring this in herself. I call her Kelly Vision because she's so visual and she can see so much. I call her Kelly Vision, like television, but Kelly Vision. I'm always watching my Kelly Vision.
Or the God. She taught me about the God bubble, and I was so happy we finally connected, because
I had a session with her and she helped me with some AI and the God bubble thing too. That was a lovely experience. She wasn't even aware of it. They hid it from her. I can't visualize, so it's easy to hide it from me. But once I learned that other people that couldn't visualize, because I thought I would at least have a sense of it. So I reached out to Penny on her platform, because she said that was the way to get a hold of her. And I've written her quite a few, once a month about previous to her surgery. I haven't written her since her surgery. She wanted to take a break, and I didn't want to bother her. And since then I found you. So I'm incredibly grateful, because with Penny, I didn't know if I was getting, sometimes I'd get an altar. Sometimes she would just repeat back her experience. And I'm like, I don't think you get it. I'm fucking freaking out here. I mean, it's one thing for you to go through the program, but they tortured me. They took me through this. I was in shock. I needed somebody. And I was asking her, what should I do? Who should I go to? She was recommending people go to the other people on her platform and talk. And I'm like, well, how can I go to these people to talk to them? I don't have any memories. I don't have a right to claim this. I don't have any memories. They're all sitting there, geeking out with each other or whatever. And I'm not one of them. I'm not part of their group. I can't claim to be a super soldier, so I can't really talk to your platform, and I wasn't really getting anywhere with her at the moment. She was very kind, answered every single one of my answers, I gotta say. So when I came across you, and saw how heart forward you were. And it's not just a mushy love, it's a tough love that I respected. There was so much there that I identified. So I gave you a call and did a reading, and it started helping me right away. I started getting memories. I started making connections. It made me feel like I was heard, because I'm telling you, not a single person in my life was going to listen to me on that, including my mom. She says, "Oh, honey, I think that's cute." And I said, "Really?" Because I was fucking tortured and they murdered my dog. I don't think it's cute at all. So if you think it's cute and you're just patronizing me, this conversation is going to end now, because I'm on a serious subject here. I am freaking out that the CIA has been taking me my whole life. Well, till the age of 15. You know, so I'm grateful for you, Veronica. You're providing an important service for people out there like me. Because it's one thing to watch this program, but once you start to suspect yourself, and then if you've done your homework and you can find somebody you trust to get that information from, because how else in the heck are you supposed to get it? The memories are blocked. You know, I can think back in my lifetime, so many things that would tip me off that I was a super soldier, but until you have the memories, it's just a missing memory that was there. You know, I don't remember between age 5 and 15 so much, you know, but it makes sense now looking back on it.
Thank you.
You're able to come in intuitively and say yes, and confirm some of the things that I was also connecting to and seeing. That Dexter programming was interesting, and I want to talk about that briefly in case there's other guys going out there through it, because I'm telling you, I thought the show was written after me. I'm telling you right now, everyone in my life thought the show was written after me. I've had customers come up to me in restaurants that I was waiting on and say, "You're like Dexter, never met me before in my life," and had the whole table freak out. They're like, "You can't tell a waiter that." Well, he is, he's just like Dexter, you know. And it's like, well, yeah, we know, but you can't tell them that. And then I've had people in those jobs tell me, "You know, Chad, people around here question the way you think." And I'm like, what the fuck? You know, I don't know what you're talking about. What do you mean question the way I think? I even saw the guy that played Dexter in the restaurant that I was serving at. Ironically enough, we passed, and they said, "That guy's in a show. He's in an upcoming show. It's called Dexter and such, and is an actor." And I said, "Oh, I'll have to check it out. That's interesting." And the first time I watched that show and he's floating in that pond talking about it being a different kind of monster and watching humans from that perspective. Because I remember being a teenager and I didn't have any emotions. I didn't have the capacity to get excited. And I remember being that thing that he was talking about, watching people. And for example, I remember being on a 3-story house building a roof and knocking the rain off. This was in Alaska. We spent 6 years in Alaska, 5 years up in Alaska. And I was knocking the roof off of the tarps because the roof wasn't done and we had tarps over it. So I was walking over floorboards that had no floorboards. 2 stories up. It was the 3rd story I'm talking about. And I stepped over the edge. I stepped right off the edge and I fell, and my foot caught me underneath the ledge, and I was hanging upside down from my left foot above a cement slab that was down below, because there was an entranceway that we had a cement slab poured. And my heart never once even skipped a beat. I just couldn't. There was no way. We've almost gotten into accidents before, and I say, "Oh, you're about to hit that car." Couldn't skip a beat. You know, since then I've gotten a full range of my emotions back. Thank you very much. And I used vitamins to do that. And I even have the capacity to get excited now, you know, which is really quite nice. And feel a full range of emotions and everything. So they didn't shut me down completely, just so they know. I called myself the wooden boy for so long. I just saw Pinocchio and I just wanted to be real. And then I called myself the Tin Man. Forever, that was just my alias, the Tin Man. You know, if I only had a heart. And I can't tell you how many times I've been called the nicest person anyone's ever met. Wow. More times than I can count on a hand. But if I only had a heart.
You know, mine was courage. The lion.
I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Dude, you also remind me of Hitler and Doctor Strange. He's so fine.
And then Dexter came out, and that was the end of it. I can remember my family event. I came down to visit, and I remember all my aunts pulling me around. And one aunt who was like, "The God, I mean, this woman can pull any information out of you that she wanted." She watched the OC Wives. She watched the Orange County Wives. She was watching all the, all those good wife programs and stuff. And then the other one that was like Susie Homemaker. Her name's actually Susie. Home make meals. She would always have her house the cleanest, make the best meals. She watched Martha Stewart and all that stuff. My other stepmom, who my dad remarried, the nicer one, she has like a 140 IQ, and she's very analytical. So she watches IC Undercover and all these like investigative shows. And then they all turn to me and say, "And what do you watch?" At the time I was watching Dexter, Hannibal, and just about anything I could watch of that nature, and everybody knew it. They were trying to set me up to, it's always been a theme there, because I wasn't fascinated with them because I thought serial killers were cool. I needed to know how they thought, because they saw humans the same way I saw them differently.
I was thinking about those shows too. Like, how did they chop up this person into pieces? Fascinating. It's like, what's wrong with me?
I needed to know how they thought. I needed to know how they think. I needed to know how they thought. And that's the reason why I watched them. I knew they were smarter than normal people, and I knew I could see them. Somehow I just knew it. I can remember having my godchild who was Jamaican, or not Jamaican because he wasn't born in Jamaica, but parents were Jamaican. He was 10 years old, beautiful little kid. I had him in a restaurant that I was working at called Eat Tremelli's, and it was in Soho, New York. And it was a long restaurant. It was beautiful, and I was deep in it, and he was getting bored. And he's like, "Chad, can I go outside?" He was waiting for his father, who was out cheating and running late and cheating on me. And I was like, "Yeah, that's fine, Antoine. You can go outside. Go outside, but stay where I can see you. Stay by the window so I can see you out front." Even though I knew in New York City, kids really didn't go missing. It was in the small towns all around New York City, but I was told that kids didn't really go missing in New York City or get kidnapped. That happened in small towns. So I thought, it's fine. His father lets him do it. I'll let him stay out there. Some people came up to me and says, "There's been a man in here watching him." They watched him go to the bathroom over there because he asked to go to the restroom. I'm like, "Yeah, Antoine, go to the restroom. It's just right there. Go use it." He went in and used it, and then he came out, and that guy followed him. And then when he went outside, that guy followed. So I went out there. This man is this short, little, stubby, fat man with a buzz cut, fat fucking fingers and fat hand and fat, he just had this thing. He would come to the bar and order a shot of whiskey and drink, and a shot of milk or a glass of milk, and drink the milk and leave the whiskey. And he was out there standing, and he was just standing forward and just pacing in a little circle and just staring at Antoine, just staring down at him. And I went out there and saw that, and I said, "Antoine, get inside the restaurant right now." And I turned around and looked that guy in his, deadlocked him in his face. I always had the ability to see people like that and match them. I'm not like coming from it from a human perspective and going, "Oh my God, you are just, get out of here." I match their face, and I tell them, "Get the hell out of here, because I'm even worse than you." And that's the Dexter programming. I have a feeling in me. I could just feel it. It would come on. And he was a predator, and I knew it. And that was my target. He came into the restaurant a week later. This is a high-end restaurant. And he had some little girl sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing her up and down on his lap. Some little girl in a pretty little dress, and some rich-ass couple brought her in. And I went up to that couple, and I pulled him aside, and I said, "Excuse me, but I've had an incident with this man and a child, and I don't trust him. He's a pedophile. You need to get your child off his lap." They were so pissed at me. They were highly offended that I even brought it up or even talked about, And I thought, man, people are so just ridiculous. Their child sitting on the lap of a pedophile, and they're mad at me at telling them, versus going and getting their child off. And then it occurred to me a couple of weeks ago, and this is something that happened in 20 years ago. They were selling that child. When I look back at all the things I've seen, now I realize I'm like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Here I am trying to protect the child and get it off the child's lap, and they're sitting here, it's a kidnapped child, and they're selling it or something, and
I can, it just pisses me off. I know. when I was a little kid, we lived in a trailer court, and there was this man that was fat, white. I just I have a trigger of fat, white male.
I see them walking around the malls too, and they all have heavy hands. They got all that hot, heavy hands that just kind of just walk. I can see them.
Yeah,
and now I know who they are.
Yeah, he got caught with a bunch of pornography, child pornography stuff, and one of my cousins and one of my friends were victims, and I was a victim, not of him, but of his product, of a female. I was molested by a female there in the same trailer court. So this shit has to end. This is why we're talking. This is why a lot of us come forward with these programs, because we have been hurt, taken advantage as children. And the Omega programming that you're talking about, that we talk about, is fucking real. And I won't watch my language, like when somebody says. But anyway, like Peter.
Awesome. One of my favorite people. Yeah.
You and Jessica. And my heart, when I came, the reason why I started this channel, and I know this interview is about you, but because you talked about the heart space, okay? I told myself I have to unchain my heart, because I saw it like it was going to blow up, and it was surrounded with chains and thorns and locks. And I had a wall in front of me. It was a white wall. And I said, I got to get to my inner child that's across from me, behind that. I gotta untangle everything, the rapes, the whatever happened to me, the people following me, whatever, me being homeless, blah blah blah, all that bullshit that happens to us in this life. And I'm like, I gotta find out who I am. I don't care, and this was the punchline, I don't care if I die when I punch through the wall, but I will free myself, and I will love myself unconditionally again. I don't give a F who comes after me. I'm gonna love me, and I'm gonna be faithful to that inner child that was traded, sold, whatever. You know what I mean? And that's what makes us powerful. Once they know they cannot use the Omega program on us, which they tried on you again, you're like, nah, man, I love myself too much to stab me. I love myself too much to kill myself, for you all to benefit and win the God war and win the bet. Nah, baby, we got too much.
No, I said, before I go out, I'm going rogue, and I'm coming after you all. I'm not going to go out by my own hand. Let me tell you, I'm coming after you all, and good luck.
Yeah, good luck.
So Veronica, can you connect to your cats and feel that, you know what I'm saying? The feeling of can you be in love with your cats? Can you go into in love?
Yes. And I see,
because it scares me to do that.
Yes.
And I keep spending so much time with my puppy.
He loves you. I've actually tuned into him many times when I think of
her. It's a little girl. Yeah.
Girl? Yeah.
Little girl. Yeah.
I see the picture in my mind, and she knows you're her.
Yeah. She knows, but I pet her a lot, and I walk her a lot, and I do a lot of physical, and I'm like, Chad, if you just sit down for 5 minutes with her on your heart. But I'm afraid I'll start. I'm scared.
I know.
That's the thing. I got to open to go after the others. I got to have that feeling, that in love feeling, because then forget about it. Their programming ain't going to enter that feeling, but it scares me to feel it. I think about like when, when you work with a client and they got a dark entity or something, you're attaching it and you're turning on its light insight and you're getting that spark brighter and brighter. You have to do it slow. It's a dimmer switch, or you have to let it, you have to be respectful. It's an awful lot for something that negative to all of a sudden feel love. Or me, that's been so, I can't say locked up, because I love full force, everybody, highly protected, but I don't. But I don't let my heart open up and feel it. Like if you're laying with somebody and you just feel that feeling of where you just want to just live forever, and
that's your homework. And that's why I can love every person that I've been with.
It's little acts of kindness to yourself. It's loving yourself. It's that changing that self-talk. I mean, my go-to therapy, and this is Mel Robbins. When I do therapy with a client, my cognitive behavioral therapy is always Mel Robbins. just go to Mel Robbins. If it's anything health related, go to the medical medium. Those are the two people I use. And I don't care what anybody else has to say about either one of those. You know, I've heard a lot of psychics say not great things about the medical medium. I have my suspicions too, but not in the information he's provided. My suspicion that I wanted to ask was, why in the hell did you help Hollywood out? You don't go up to the Kardashians or somebody like that and tell them to drink celery juice to get better. You tell them to stop eating babies. You tell them to stop eating people. And I don't think his voice in his head says, oh, by the way, this person's sick because they're eating babies. I think it just tells them they're sick and this is how you fix it, you know, and maybe that's what he's going to tell me. But you're hanging around an awful lot of, you know, I think those people pulled him in because they saw who he was.
Yes, Chad. A lot of people have tried to pull me into their secret societies, which I was already part of it during when I was little. I graduated at 16 and my number's 33. They had those memories blocked. So now I can smell them a mile away. You know, they say, oh, what should I invest in this portfolio, that? Oh, I'm in Indonesia looking for gold. Am I in the right place on the map? Oh, by the way, come over. I'll pay for your trip to Indonesia, to California, wherever, you know. And there was this, that's why part of the reason why I also got on Facebook is there's people that, some people, one person in particular would, you know, say, you know, the queen gave you, she offered you to live forever in your body. Why did you reject? Why are you talking, Veronica? Why? You had
because you don't want immortality.
I got eternity.
You don't want immortality. You remember
Ashiana Dean?
Ashiana Dean, yeah.
Badass. I'm so glad. I'm so
you
glad.
Want eternity, not immortality, yeah.
Yeah. And
we are not super soldiers. They hijacked us. Super soldier is a bot.
Nasty word.
And they own that. They don't own me. I never agreed. I just want to make sure that's said.
I never agreed either. How could I agree?
I don't care how many shapes they floated in front of me as a baby and I reached for or whatever it is. I never agreed.
Right.
And I'm taking you all to karmic court in my meditations right now. So we'll see what happens behind the scenes with you. We're all going to court.
Speaking of court,
I'm meditating on it every single day. I'm going to the higher dimensions and we're all going to court. And if that court don't take me in, I'm taking that court to court. I'm going to court.
Yes. You know what? I'm wondering if you're part of me and Susan. We are part of the 5. Mm-hmm. We are part of the 5 where we both have the same memory where we were in court and talking to a tall white, and we were dressed in suits and we had all this paperwork, and then there was entities outside. One of them was a crab lady and she was funny as fuck, and then the other guy was another like a ET, like a feline guy, and then we took a break and then we had to go back into court, and then I said, hey Susan, do you remember why we were there? And she said yes. She says, I have no idea why we had to ask permission to save the children. This was in 2018 that I had this memory. So who knows? You might be part of this, the 5.
Okay, I am very passionate. I'm right on board with Penny Bradley 100% about save the kids, save the kids, save the kid. That's not my projection right now, because it's
you got to save yourself first by opening your heart.
Thank you. And that's what I'm interested in, is actually refocusing on ourselves. I'm not, I support what she does. I want to be behind that. But my focus is, let's get ourselves healthy and help ourselves and get ourselves stable. You know, let's be here for each other. Let's create a community.
I wanted you to talk about the Tesseract and the how you were describing, you know, the 4th dimension and all that, because I also work with that, and I see the sacred geometry, whatever the numbers, equations. There's just fascination with that. That's how we go interdimensionally by tuning into that. So how did you explain? what I call the veil, you call the fourth dimension, and the memories and the thoughts and all that.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that one because I'm wondering that, because I think I wonder if there's a veil as a different, because I think I have a strong definition of fourth dimension as being a construct, an angelic construct or something that's not a real dimension. It's where we meet, where the fifth and the third, or the fourth and the fifth kind of meet, I guess, in our imagination. I don't just kind of the astral. It kind of feels like a construct. That's what, but I don't visualize. So I listen to you guys to find out this
I
information.
see it's AI. I see it's another weapon of AI, like a spider being manipulating the thoughts. Okay, because they don't want us to see past the fourth dimension, which we can, most of us. And I know you're gonna see that with practice and when more of the unblockage, when your heart is unblocked, baby, you're gonna see that. You're gonna see their more of their tricks. So this is where you're in the astral or physically when they take you, or you go travel physically or in the astral, and in the fourth dimension is where they erase the memories before you wake up here. So that is a computer system where they have these beings that have, look at a man and he has fake wings. Then you think, oh, it's an angel. Or it could be a Dedicron, or it could be a bad Alpha Draconi, like bad, we'll say bad, you know, whatever these angels could be. Then they program you to see whatever they want you to see. So that's in the fourth dimension before, you know, either, like I said, when you go astral or physical, when you fall asleep here. And that's the key. That's why you write down your dreams. You know what I mean?
I agree. So Metatron has come into my life apparently, and I was like, really? I just got done reading Ashiana Dean, and she's talking about how he's falling, but I always had a certain feeling about that. And when I tune into it, it's Metatron is an entity, and I understand that's where our Luciferian and Satanism and all the ones that are fallen angels, you know, they all come from that. But I'm not talking about that's the part of it, because a lot of psychics are tuning into those, to the false message that's being sent forward through Metatron, that the fallen part of him. So I don't want to say that that's what I'm connecting to. I'm talking about a higher part of him, the entity, the friend. Okay. If you can imagine the Titanic.
Real quick, the Nephilims and Michaels, the angelic Michaels, the ones that worship Baal, the Nephilims and Michaels, Archangel Michaels, are against the Lucifer, Archangel Lucifer, and Metatron. That's all I gotta say for now. And you froze. Go ahead.
I'm frozen.
Not anymore. Okay, you're good.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so I'll have to research that one for sure. What I'm trying to get to is that a lot of people are tuning into the Metatron that they're judging, and that's not who's working with me right now. It's a higher ascended master with Melchizedek, and they're reminding me of my priesthood, you know, and I've been reminded that through others. So the Metatron that I connect to is my friend. It is a ship that sank, and it is the saddest fucking thing that could possibly happen. You're watching a ship under the water with its lights, and it's going under, and the lights are going further. That's our friend. And I'm praying to God, and I'm putting a plea out that he doesn't. I'm not going to jump in the pit because we can't pull him out. And that's our lesson here. And I think it's with our life around us. We can't jump in the pit and pull that part of Metatron out if it's in our life and our friends, you know. He's probably going to go to Stardust, right? So
all I'm going to say, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but he's safe. Because we talked about it before, like before the recording. We'll talk more about
who's sick?
No, there's a few that saved Metatron from that, and also saved Lucifer.
Well, okay, then I must be part of that, because I'm telling you right now, I don't let people just sink, and I
don't either.
And if he's gone too far, it's the saddest thing in the world to me. I'm glad I'm down here. They can be as mean to me as I just want to see what happened. I just want to see what became of it all. I want to be here with him, holding his hand as he goes down, you know, that sort of thing. I don't care if he's clawing my hand and digging into my skin. My hand is still there. I'm there for you, my friend. So let me just put that out there. Anyways, he's in my life now, and he's brought in my newest obsession, which is the sacred geometry. I've been watching Ileana, the Star Traveler, and I'm not sure if you're familiar, but she's somebody that I've enjoyed watching, and she was using the Metatron cube, and I got nervous because I'm like, oh, is she tuning into the Metatron, and is this maybe a technology that, then I thought, no, Ted, don't go there. It's a technology. It's on how you use it. If he came up with it, it's on how you use it. It is, and then my philosophy in Metatron kind of expanded from there. But for a while, I was like watching her and thinking, oh, don't tell me she's getting pulled into something. Like, how can I? And now it's all I wanted. Now I really want to connect to that and just watch it all the time. Please make the Metatron cube. Please make more sacred geometry with your 3D lasers, Ileana. I think you're on a great path there. I think that's where we're going to find our powers, is connecting to these things again.
Right. And there's people that make fun of me because it's like, oh, how can you talk to crystals? And I'm like, they are programmable. You can actually talk to them and program them to what you need or what others need. And you got to be careful when somebody gives you a crystal. That's why I tell people, put it out in the sun and the moon for 3 days, 3 nights. And if it's a crystal that can be placed in salt water, do it for 3 days, 3 nights outside or on the windowsill, because you don't know what kind of crap the people want you to feel or happen when you receive that. It could be with any gift. Mm-hmm. And so
they say crystals are more precious than diamonds. We just don't know it yet. The technology and the things you can do with crystal it's way more precious than even a diamond.
Yes, that's why I'd rather wear rings that are, with gemstones and stuff like that. They're my sisters, right? They're our bioluminescence. But I wanted you to say how you were talking about the tesseract and how you described it to a person, that it goes this way and it's a ball and then this way, like that, because it's very interesting to me. And I think others.
I think I was challenged as a child. What was the tesseract? I may be saying, I called it the Chester cat theory for the longest time. So when I figured out the real name.
That's Chester in Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I called it the Chester cat. And I thought, oh, that makes sense. It's little smiley face. And then I found out it was called the tesseract. And so I was a little thrown off there. But it was about basically what does two dimension look like going through a dot, you'd basically see an on and off. I think if I use it in my imagination, a binary system, you'd see light and then you'd see dark and then you'd see light, a two-dimensional line going through a dot. I think that's what you would see. Then the next one was, well, what are you going to see on a two-dimensional object? A piece of paper, in a three-dimensional object, a circle, a ball. What does that look like going through the two-dimension? Well, I said it starts out as a circle, then it gets a bigger circle, and then it becomes a smaller circle, but they're not going to see a ball. They're going to see a circle, as you pass it through. So now I'm watching the videos. That's exactly what they say. Here I am. I think I'm solving this tesseract, because she's like, oh, it's a conundrum. Nobody can solve it. Then she's like, well, what does the fourth dimension look like going through our third dimension? How do we see it? And I'm like, it's our imagination. You have to close your eyes to see it. Yeah. When you close I don't visualize, but I just knew it. I just knew that's the fourth dimension passing through our third dimension. I'm probably wrong because somebody else has another theory on that. But
no, that's exactly right, because that is where, like I said, they when you come back, they can hack your memory or erase your memory. So it's very important when you are imagining to tune in from your pineal gland to your heart, that is one together.
I call it heart-mindedness. I picture of a triangle. I picture this, and then I project the image out in front of me and connect the two in a triangle, a pyramid. So I call it, that's how I do it visually in my head. I imagine a triangle and I project the heart and the image, out together. So I'm thinking together. So I'm not just in my mind and I'm not just in my heart. I got to feel it and see it,
Right, because they say we have 3 brains: our stomach, our brain, our heart. So in Spanish, there's a saying, estás comiendo con los ojos. You're eating with your eyes. That means you're overeating. And then you're not thinking about your brain, stomach when it's full.
I've been told to stop consuming, and now I'm going to go into sacred geometry head first. And consuming means reading, all that kind of stuff. stop, but I can't.
Now, if it helps you to unlock your heart space, then do it. Whatever it is. The most
That's easier said than done, I gotta say, but I'm gonna do it. They're not gonna stop me.
I know.
I hope they know. And if you send one helicopter when I do, send them all. Because you're gonna need them.
White Chevy picking me up when those choppers.
Because you're gonna need them. You know, so I want to talk about something too. When I want to talk about, like, we actually, I don't care about the general public. They can watch this and be as entertained as they want. I'm talking to the folks that know they're on a separate platform. They just know there's something different about them, and they're watching people and not caught up in the act. You know, I don't walk around in characters. I watch people walk around in characters. It's amongst our group too, because I remember Lindsay talking about this. I think she's the a fighter in Canada.
Fighter, yeah, in Canada.
I don't watch TV. MFF.
MMA.
Fighting. MMA. Yeah. Fighter. Sorry, Lindsay. That in the groups, I know this. I can see it. I can see the ones that fucked around or resisted or were just being ornery to be ornery, like there is a game to play, and some of us figured out just it is okay. It's whitewater rafting. Let me put it this way: it's whitewater rafting, and I'll give you a couple scenarios, and it doesn't paint me in the best picture. So I look at it as whitewater rafting. You have to navigate the rapids. We're in a raft, okay? There was one time this is the one time I failed a lesson, because sometimes they would duplicate in the 3D. And there was this time I went down after we left my father and my stepmother, and I wanted to get all the stuff that I'd given her back, and she had it in a hope chest because I meant it for my other mother, but we gave it to her. And so I was really sneaky, got it out, but I messed some things up at the fish tank and we got caught. And so I knew it. I came home and she was pacing in the floor, and my dad was there, and my sister was out in the garage, and we were there on vacation. So I went out there and I said, "Oh my God, Kelly, they know we broke into the cedar chest and stole everything." I said, "Let me go in there and I'm going to handle this. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to protect you." So I went in there and blamed everything on her. I got scared. I mean, 12, 11, it's not my proudest moment. This is the one, there's 2 times I failed protecting someone, and they were all in my childhood, and I don't want to be too hard on myself because I don't think it's a direct reflection. I've been told I'm the strongest person. I've had psychics walk off the street and tell me that I'm the strongest person they've seen. You know, I've literally had, and I've heard that a long time. So I don't want it to seem like, but I've had my moments of weakness, and I threw her under the bus. And then not only that, but she got in trouble. And then I talked her into giving them the silent treatment. So I didn't have her in the raft with me going down the rapids. She was my raft because I was smarter than her, and I got scared. And I'm sure we had these tests behind the scenes where we got tried one time after time again, because they played out in our normal lives. You know, she became my raft. She was basically my surfboard that I was riding down the rapids. And that's how I survived that lesson in the 3D. You know, when I think about the way we played our games behind the scenes, some people were just ornery to be ornery. I don't know. They were against their own good and everyone else's. And some of us just knew how to get our butt across the line. Yeah, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, these people that you're talking about, though, that you started talking about that are public, it's like,
yeah, I'm seeing them make Pokemon cards of themselves and talk about the super space program as if it's something cool.
Right. Like, oh, I raped so many people. It's like, okay, well.
If you rape somebody and it's in this computer, you need to apologize. I'm going to throw that out there too.
And if you killed one of us, you know, in the past, he's no longer here.
I don't care if it's an altar or not, apologize.
No, Max Spears, he's, I mean, how is it that they are not liable in court in the 3D? Because the agents,
there's a lot happening in our community that's not liable in court. That's why I'm addressing that. Yeah,
they think we're crazy, and you know, all these agencies, they know how to play the game.
You show up on my doorstep high on cocaine and drunk off your ass wanting to throw down. It better be a one-way ticket you came with. You know, this community needs to get a grip a little bit in that sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're raping
And you know
people,
what?
apologize
We
and
have to
stop
stop.
doing it. Go get the help or we're going to cut your dick off. That's
Yeah.
all I got to say about it. And about my dick, because I remember this person making comments about white boys from Montauk having messed up junk and all that stuff and being gay. Well, I'm gay and I got messed up junk. You know, I got varicocele or whatever. What's your point? You know, what I observe in you is your nervous laugh. And when that comes out of me, I am highly bothered.
Dexter,
Because I know there's something that's, I got a heal in there because of that. And I don't know why I'm laughing and it comes out, I can't stop it. I'm just laughing. And it's about talking about the training or the fighting or something, you know. I'm seeing that in the individuals here. There's a lot of healing that has to be done in our community. Yes, let's go save the kids because that's what it's all about. But let's also save our own asses with the oxygen mask.
right. Put that oxygen masks on us first before we can help save others. But yeah, it's no joke. And I don't agree with these people that idolatrize or put these people that are raping people in a pedestal and saying, oh, it's okay. You can have as many twin flames as you want. And use women. I told everybody that there's sex trafficking in the secret space program in our community, but they'd rather laugh and say, oh, everybody got raped. It's okay. Yeah, you just messed up. You messed up.
I'm still not.
You know, it's like, what the fuck?
I'm still not fully convinced that Dexter wasn't written after me. My sister is the model of his sister Deb.
Wow.
To a T. But I know it's a programming, so I'm just saying.
I wouldn't.
You know, if my house is clean, anybody wants to come knock on my door, here I am. And I'm protected, so let's do this.
Let's do it. Got to put an end to
and that comes with its risk. I'm not naive to it, but like I said, you hurt mine, my firewalls might come down, and if they do, don't bring one, bring them all. I can remember I'm going into my altars and I slipped into an altar that was in a room, a white room, had a camera on it. And when I saw that camera and I connected to it, it flew off the wall. I ripped it right out of the wall as if it was nothing with my mind.
I told you, is your commander coming out and saying no more? You stop this bullshit, because it happened to me recently. It happened.
The part of me that's a commander is connecting to me. I want to tell you, it's funny. I saw him actually, I thought it was my higher self sending me an image because they were younger. They were in their 30s. They had blonde hair. It was parted on the side. They had a nice little mustache. And I thought, well, that's a nice look. You know, my higher self I said, he's got some style. Maybe I'll try that look. You know what I mean? Maybe
Russian,
that's what
that's your
I
Russian
need to change.
soldier.
I need to change it. You know, I had like a little mustache and painted, you know, my hair was kind of blonde and I was younger and it was like in my 30s or whatever, you know, 20 years ago. And so I did it. I went and I got my mustache and I combed my hair and everybody says, you look like Hitler. You look just like Hitler. I can't even look at you. And I'm like, well, I'm not changing it because I want to wear, this is what I want to wear. So whatever, you think whatever you want.
You also have an altar that's Russian.
It wasn't my higher self. It was my commander up there. And then I heard him speaking. He was talking to you. You remember I told you about this in therapy. You helped me with it. But I was listening. Had a telepathic connection to somebody and I thought I was talking to them. I said, yes. And then all of a sudden a whole paragraph came out and I realized I'm not having a telepathic connection with them. I'm in my altar who's talking to them. I heard my own voice talking. I've seen my own, it's the strangest thing. I'm like, it's not my higher self. It wasn't me. It was him, you know?
And it was
it's really weird. You know, I've gone my whole life asking my mom since I was a childhood, do I have a twin? Are you sure you weren't pregnant with something else, Mom, and they took the baby, or that it died? Or are you just not telling me? Did I have a brother? I kept seeing myself in New York City in an apartment, and I'd never been to New York City. I had a recurring dream. I think I told you about, it happened 5 times and I kept getting stabbed. I was in New York City on the streets in a park and it was fall and I was in a trench coat and the person was in a trench coat ahead of me. I felt like an adult kid. And they were coming, like I was a kid, but I was taller like an adult, and it was coming at me with a knife. And every single time I'd let them stab me because I was too afraid to grab the knife with my bare hands and cut my hand. So I couldn't grab the blade of the knife. You gave me a great scenario to go and fix that, and I used it. Thank you. But how in the hell did I know what New York looked like here on the West Coast in Placerville, California, elevation 2,000 feet in the mountains, at 7 years old in the 70s?
Yeah, it's funny that you
It's
said
survived.
because I
They were
also,
putting me through some training and that sort of thing, but there was also cloning me or doing.
yes.
I don't believe in clones. I'm gonna, it's something else that they're doing, but it's like cloning.
Yeah, you explained it to me how you believe that it was, but you can go ahead and talk about that too. Yeah.
It goes into Jesse. There's somebody that's speaking out there, and I would like to give her credit. Her last name starts with a Z, and yeah, she's talking. Anyways, but she was saying, like, okay, what they're doing is they're taking the cell, the host cell, the cell that divides. That is the thing that's born with the sentience to it. They're scraping out all the RNA and information on the inside and putting in the new RNA and information, and then letting that host off of the cell and then expand. So I think there's another entity there that doesn't even have an identity or aware of itself until later on in life when it kicks you out, and then it realizes that so I'm not quite sure on the clone thing, but when I saw myself and I heard myself speak, it was me. It was my voice. He was straight, I think, but it was me.
That's part of the Omega programming. When we kick that person out, that's what happened to me when the light came out of my chest and the boom, the whole star that boom just outside made that noise, and then the light came. We're like, well, what was that? The neighbors and I were like, I don't know. I just felt and saw this light coming out of my chest. And when I was asking, is there a God? Is there anything out there that fucking gives a shit about me? Why am I
okay? Let me tell you something now. This is when I think when my training stopped, because they said 15. I was up in that 3rd-story room that I told you we were building once upon a time, and it became my bedroom. It had no windows. It was going to be a lookout room. It was just a third. We were like, well, let's just build one more room up higher so we get the even better view, just for, it wasn't like we're building a whole nother floor up there. It wasn't a 3-story house. It was just, we had to double the size of the house because the oil in Alaska tanked and everything crashed. So we had to double the size of our house just to get the value for it that we had. And we had to build that ourselves. So we built this room. I was up there. It didn't have windows at the time. I had this vision because I was in one of those in-between trances where you can't move and you can't, you're caught. You're in your body. And I looked over and there was a hole in the floor. Like I felt like I was awake. I just couldn't move. And I saw this hole. The hole in the floor was what I crawled up through in a ladder, because there was going to be some stairs put in, but we had a ladder put there, and it was just a hole cut out in the floor that I crawled up through to sleep in there. It was carpeted, no windows and stuff. But there was a cat sitting there. And it was the most fear I've ever felt in my whole entire life. And I knew it wasn't just a cat. So the only thing I could do, the same thing I did with the knife, was just grab it. Even though I had full on fear, I just pushed it. I just pushed it and said no, and pushed it away. It left my chest. My whole entire chest fell asleep and was tingly. And that's, I think, when they stopped taking me. So I think it's interesting you say you ended something too, with something coming out of your chest. Yours was light. But when I woke up, it felt as if my foot had fallen asleep all around my chest in a perfect circle. So that has some connection with it all. I don't know how it is. I haven't quite made it there yet, but I know I did something there. I must have pushed out something.
You did. That's what I
And
saw.
in this room,
Yeah.
in this room, just so people understand, I separated myself from my family, and people said, oh, Chad's antisocial. He doesn't want to be around us. I said, no, it's not that. I don't want you to be around me. I don't know what's wrong right now, but I would lay up in that room and you could fry an egg on my head, and I didn't know why. And I'd go into fits of rage. I would have to scratch myself, punch the floor, pull my hair, just fucking make the faces of rage. I just had it building in me. And then I would sit there and I'd lay on my bed, and I was so worn out, and I was like, okay, I'm good. And I would breathe and I'd start to relax, and then it would start to build up again. I think it was the Hulk programming that I've heard you talk about, but I wanted to bust out of my body. I just couldn't. And my mom said, I'm going to cut your fingernails off if you scratch yourself one more time. So then I took a spoon and I held it to my hand after I held it to the light bulb. I still have the scar, just to get the pain, just anything to get it. I had to do something. I had to punch my leg. I had to punch my arm. I would slap myself like this, and then I start punching myself.
I used to hit myself
horrible.
on the wall. Yeah, my head on the wall.
I would hit my head in the wall too.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's called what I call Frankensteining. That's hulking out. That is part of the Hulk program.
So I had to tell him, I'm not staying away from you because I don't like you. I had to keep you away from me because you always ask me what's wrong. I can sit here with you, but I can't pretend to be happy right now. I don't know what's wrong. Yeah. I can't feel it.
And then
I didn't have those words as a 49-year-old. I do as a 15-year-old. I just went into my room, or up into my room.
Would you like, okay, because what happened to me, and I want to know if it happened to you, but after the rage, then I'd cry because I was mad and I'm like, then it's like, my mom would say, eres una llorona, why do you cry for everything? And I'm like, okay, so I'd go major rage, like destroying shit, and I couldn't destroy shit in my house because it wasn't my house, it was my mother's. So I'd start destroying my skin, slapping myself like cutting my legs, like, I want to die, I don't want to be here. And then it was like crying, like, what the hell?
And every once in a while I'd get a manic episode where I'd be high on life, couldn't stop that. And I hated those the worst. I hated that the worst. I came home one day and I told my mom, and my mom said, honey, are you on drugs?
My kids thought
I said, no. I said, the worst. I said, the worst part about this, Mom? The worst part about this? I said, and I started crying on the spot. I said, tomorrow I'm going to feel the worst I've ever felt before in my life. And I know it. I know it comes after this, the high, and then after that, the highs stopped. But the crying, yes, I would do that as a teenager. As an adult, I don't know.
It's the whole altars. That's, I hate what they did to us. All the electrocuting, the drowning. I don't want to get stuck on that right now, but that is one of the biggest things for us to do is heal our hearts first, and then heal our altars one at a time, bring them in, love each and every one of them. Even if they're the witch that kills babies, that's one of my altars, and throws them in the fire. It's horrible. I had to love all of them somehow because they're all me. And no, we're not crazy,
That is going to be unique for me to get, because I am going to connect them all. I do believe in Ileana's sacred geometry, and I also believe in Penny Bradley's statement about what they are trying to construct with the clones and the geometry. There's sacred geometry in there somewhere, and we can become a hive mind, or a
well, that's what I'm telling people that, yeah,
we're a unit. I'm home base and we're a unit, and that's the way it's going to be. And we protect home base. We don't let home base die.
Right. The whole thing with CERN, it's a centrifuge. It has all these layers. It has all these dimensions. It has all these colors and heart as well. So they're trying to they're trying to put in the Omega programming. And if that doesn't help, they're trying with Elon Musk, they're trying to connect us to Neuralink. They're trying, because the whole Ashianadines, the whole Terra papers, they want to use us and others with the whole baby Jabberwocky, the graphene oxide. They are trying to transform us into what they want for their future world, their army. So we have to heal our heart first, so that doesn't happen, and bring in our altars, not kill them like some people say, and be aware of what this world right now is going through, a transformation. The wars are still yesterday I went walking in the desert, and there's all these ships.
Oh, that beautiful video.
Fighting against each other. Thank you. Yeah.
I was looking at your background because I was like, oh, let me see the background of the desert. Ooh.
I still have to post some of the pictures.
Okay, so that's one step at a time, loving ourselves, right?
One baby step at a time, and it's okay. Like, it's okay. we're not failures. It's okay. The hardest thing, that's why I tell people, if you're not ready to come forward and seek your memories, and you think that you were used for these programs, don't come to me, because it's the most horrific thing, but it's the most best thing, the bestest thing, most loving thing that you could do for yourself, is go into the unknown when you're ready.
Okay. And don't force it, because I didn't go do the regression first. I went to you first because I was starting to get the memories. I think it's important. And I've heard somebody else, it was online, you recommended for me to go, or somebody that was, recommended for me to go online and purchase this one, that person that helps you awaken to your memories. You know, he's online. I don't remember the name. He has like a little video or something you can listen to, and he gives you the techniques and everything of what to do. But I agree with him, like, let your memories come in first, because
And stop
I'm strong. Okay, fine. You can throw anything you want to at me, but that's not what this is about. This is about opening my heart. I can close it down. When you see me stop breathing and I got a smile on my face at you, that's when you need to really, really be worried.
Me too.
You know, when I'm at my calm and I got a smile on my face and I'm not breathing, and I could be smiling with my eyes, that means watch out.
I do the same thing. And you know what it is, Miko? You know what it is? You know, Miko, it's like, I love you. It's a cariño. I call people that I love Mikos. But it's in between the rage, the hulking out, I'm gonna fucking kill everybody, to the unconditional love, the crying, all that together in the middle. I mean, I've talked about it before with X-Men, with Magneto. Sometimes I feel like I'm Magneto. This is how they trained us. How do you get your superpowers? By being in the middle between rage. They killed his mother in front of him. And then love, right? Rage, crying, love, the sentiment, like, I'm depressed, or am I going to go out and kill somebody? The middle, and stop breathing. I stop breathing when I use my powers. I know that most of us, when we go to sleep, we stop breathing and we just go do whatever the fuck we have to do. And I've talked to Susan and Frank about this, and they also do that too. They also agree with that. I think Eve too, but I find it very interesting. Oh, real quick, the I am, you were talking about Melchizedek. I also started with I am unconditional love. I am God. I am this. That's
where I started.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
And that's yeah, there's few people I use for therapy. Ivan Teller I use for therapy. I use you for therapy. And then to awaken, there are certain people I was navigated to. And one of them was Paul Selig, who wrote the, he's channeling this book, and it's a direct channel. He's doing it in front of audiences of 300, and he's pumping out a chapter at a time. Like, it's super fast, and it's interesting how he does it. He has the word coming to him, and he mumbles it, blah, 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 and then he says it out loud, and says it out loud. So it's just this repeat. You can tell he's not hearing anything and then repeating it, because he's saying it and then repeating it. So there's no tricks there, and he's in front of audiences of 300, and all the words connect, you know. So that's the I am thing that I read, and I read that book 5 times on audiobook or whatever, listened to it, because my mind was that busy at the time, and that was in Utah quite a few years ago. That initiated all my awakenings. I had an awakening about 3 years ago. It almost took me out. It took out my appendix, and that was a very long recovery. I had a lot of complications after that, and then it almost and then I had a second awakening here just a few weeks ago, and you helped me. Well, it wasn't a few weeks. I mean, it was a few years. It ended in that few weeks. And I was like, oh man, I'm going to lose Veronica. I'm going to lose everybody, because I feel so bipolar right now. 1 minute I'm this and 1 minute I'm that. But it was just going through the, you know, and now I'm as clear as I could ever be. And I want to say this, please take it easy yourself on if you want your memories to come away, because what I was getting to before, and I had a point to it, being so strong, I wasn't just like saying, oh, you know, I'm strong, because that comes with its own thing. You know, there's a weight to bear there. Being strong, you take an awful lot. So it's not how you open your heart. It's not how you be kind to yourself. When Penny Bradley said that the lowest IQ in outer space was 300 points, I cried harder than I've ever cried in my whole entire life. My eyes swelled, except for when I just gave my puppy she had to have a little surgery, and I cried for that. It was she was getting spayed, but okay. And then my grandma dying, and I want to talk about the puppy thing because she lost babies in that thing. So, um, so, 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 I don't know why I was bringing them up, but it was with the crying. I want to say like, I think I'm strong enough to, okay, I cried harder than I ever did when Penny Bradley told me that. It's because I thought I was stupid. I'm like, I'm stupid. And then they live millions of years. I have the significance of a gnat. I feel like a sea monkey gnat, like a little sea monkey gnat, you know, like I must, and then she tells us we stink. To them, we all stink. I'm like, great. It was devastating to me to realize that my IQ is, you know, and that they have 300. That was incredibly devastating. And then when you see how beautiful they are, and then when you see how the way these celestials, or you see in the secret space program how they treated us, like, be prepared. Like, this is going to be humbling. Like, take it one step at a time.
Yes.
You can take it all in at once and become hard as stone if you want, but we're opening our hearts. So we got to take this in little chunks at a time, I think. And it was great to work with you because you really concluded it. My conclusion, my epiphany was they closed our heart energy down. And if I'm going to have my power, it's that feeling, you know, that I got to feel that's painful
Without
to
being
me.
afraid that others are going to come and stab your heart again. That's how powerful you got to be, baby. And that is not selling your inner child ever again, and not abandoning your inner child. That's what it's all about too.
Healing all those things, and that's what we can do for each other. Work with each other. We've all had programming. We all know how it's done. I remember being 10 years old and leaving the church because I could tell they were using programming with his arm movements and everything. And I told my family that I said, he's brainwashing us. How in the heck do I even know what brainwashing is as a little 10-year-old and kid in the mountain in a logging town in the 70s? I could see it though, and I knew it was all programming.
You're
And it bothered me.
crucifying yourself when you're doing the sign of the cross, and people don't even see that.
Oh, wow. So we're smarter than we think. We need to start healing. I mean, there's doctors out here that walk the street. I can tell them to watch mud fossil universities with all their intellect. Do you think they see the connection? A circle is a circle, my friend. If there's two circles and two squares, it's matching. You know, this is biology and this is geography. He's connecting the two. A doctor can't see it because they're indoctrinated. They've gone through the school system. The psychologists are the same thing. When I went into college, I dropped out the first day I was in it. There was no way they were cramming me in that box. My best friend, now a social worker going for her doctorate, and my sister married somebody that's going for their doctorate in social, you know, and they all think they're smarter than me. They will not listen to a word that I have to say. And I'm telling you right now, there's a little girl in my family right by me that has a brain tumor. Tell me she's not getting raped in that hospital that they keeping her in for a week at a time. That's what they do with little kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
They're knocked out and they're on pain meds. And the elite know that's where they go to get their connection. They consider it a connection to feed their energy. They need her to stay in that hospital for a week and get taken care of. I'm not saying a damn word. Not one person's come up to me to ask how to heal a tumor. Over 300 natural healers were killed last year. There's a reason why my business is shut down, motherfuckers. It's because you guys, you know, but we're going to open it up back with our hearts and as a group and as a team.
And we are unstoppable and fearless. Yeah, that's why I tell people, don't give to St. Jude, the kids. They're being raped too. They're being sold.
Yeah, I say too, but listen, they're not listening to us. You cannot make sense to them. And trust me, you can Dexter out on them. I can slice through people, emotions, and characters and go straight for the juggler. And they'll just say, how about this, Chad? I just don't care.
Exactly.
And I'm like, they walk away from it. They're not meant to see this or know this now. Don't lose sleep over it. Do yourself a favor like I did this week. This is what I was getting to. I just went through a second awakening. The reason I say it is because I went up an octave. I felt energy flooding in me. I could hear a ringing. I could feel it. I felt the whole world moving like I had vertigo. It's just like, it was so amazing. And then they pulled me, I was drowning, and they pulled me out right above the water and then dropped my ass off. I was so pissed. I went through the walls again with fists, cussing them out, everything. I'm like, how dare you just barely lift me out? And then, but where they put me, I have to clean up. I had to clean my house out a little bit. I just needed to get to their level before they kept taking me. They're like, nope, you got some steps to take first, I think. But looking back at last month and the last 2 years, there is no way in heck I could have done any differently than I did back then in that energy. It's one step at a time. It's healing ourselves. It's crawling out of that hole. And let's create the platform to do it, because no psychologist is going to hear us.
And that's why I'm teaming up with you, Chad. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. That's why we have people on with us like Eve. She's a Reiki master. Also Susan.
Eve is amazing.
Yeah.
Eve is amazing. Can I tell you, there is no voice for the American Native Indigenous people, and there's a voice. Martin Luther King was the voice for that group. There's other voices for other groups. There's none for the Indigenous people for a reason, and those ladies are the voice.
I have goosebumps everywhere. Yes, she's amazing.
And they're the right voice too. I was embarrassed to go to a powwow. I used to do sweat lodges because I knew I was connected to aliens. And I felt like Indians were sacred and indigenous to this planet, and I had no business. I felt like I was infiltrating. I felt like I felt like I shouldn't be there, because I told him that at the end of the sweat lodge. I said, I feel so connected to the celestials and aliens. I don't know what I'm doing here with you guys, so connected to the earth and the planet.
There's an Indian woman behind you.
And now I've realized that they're two of the same thing. I was right where I needed to be. They're more connected to celestials and what's going on than most people. So, and how nice for that voice to finally get out, that they're being used in these programs too on those reservations.
Yeah, I see an Indian female behind you.
I got a lot of Indians that I had a group of Indians that met me when I moved here. There was the chief introduced himself to me once in a meditation, and then a warrior, some guy with some black paint, mohawk.
Yeah, there's a male.
And they went.
Yeah.
And then they went on down the line, and the ladies were the next. They were the last, but they came through me too, and they were sitting in a fire, and they greeted me when I moved into this trailer here on this hill. They met
They're
me.
on your right side, and on your left side you have the feline that I told you that has like a triangle on one side and a regular eye on this side, and the ears, they kind of look like elves ears, but she's your, what I call the tiger feline entity. That's you. Her name is Natalia, and the male behind you is Taru, Taru, accent on the U. I just got that earlier, so just want you to know. You're right. And you are protected.
I'm looking forward to working with Susan. From what I understand, she's studying QHHT. She has the Reiki.
Certification coming up? Or?
I'm a certified, clinically certified, or certified hypnotherapist, accredited.
Can they go to you?
Trainings.
Can they go to you for some hypnotherapy soon?
I am always here for my team. I don't really, for the general public, I'm not open quite yet. I'm not speaking to them because they're going to be like, fuck you, I'm not going to you, dude. But when I advertise, somebody might, but I'm just saying, I'm really not interested. Sorry, I've had you guys fold your arms on me 2 times, roll your eyes at me. I can't help you. I am Dexter. I can slice through your everything, but you will leave my office and not come back. Right. And I know it. So let me work with who I can work with. I am outside the box. Let me work with those people, I understand why Penny Bradley, she's already lost 4 people. Why would she let me work with her? She that would be irresponsible. So I personally feel like I'm protected, and let's do it. But
yeah,
I think Susan and I may practice together. I hope. I'm going to propose her with that maybe and see. But I see a group forming. I see the most amazing people I've ever encountered surrounding you. They all seem to be oriented with the heart. They're all talking my language. I would die for any one of them.
Me too.
I just sit there and even listen to Judy talking. I'm like,
I was just gonna bring up Judy.
I know. I'm like, the way she can just like, and it's weird too, because she always has this really detailed story that has absolutely everything to do with what we're talking about. And it just happened to her last week. And it's like, you're so tuned in and connected. It's just.
Yeah, we're always communicating. She's an incognito, but I'm looking forward to speaking to her real soon, personally. So.
All right. So you got some cards for me?
Yeah. So I mean, I can give you in more detail when we're done here, but the first one because we were talking about the high priestess, and you got the high priestess, and we were talking about our, you as I, we have the background of being priests, and that's our royal bloodline as well. And I'll tell you the meaning of that after, but there's the one death we were talking about. We were talking about death, right? Reclaiming your heart, putting to death those that need to be put to death, reclaiming your soul, reclaiming your heart space, looking at the mirrors.
And putting those to death, honestly, is not a stage of apathy right now for me. And it's not like I have to force. I went up there and listened to Fox News and my father, and right now they're spewing some bullshit. Let me tell you, they're really pushing this war thing. I did not have a judgment. I did not have an opinion. I did not feel like, I said, Chad, you can't change them, and they're having the experience they want. You get to watch this. At first I was bitter about that, but now that I have a little bit of a platform, and you as an acquaintance and budding friendship, I don't feel like it. I have to like do anything, it's like, okay.
Yeah, because they want us to react. They want us to pick sides.
Just let it go. It's so much more peaceful. They're going to go through it. Trust me. I've tried to rip it out of them. You can't. If there's anybody that could, I can. Trust me. And I didn't. My theory is this. This is the analogy that came to me. Everybody's a little bit of a rattlesnake, because I don't see the ego any other way than a rattlesnake. And it's in a box, and it's in the middle of my kitchen. Now I can lift that box up and try and shoo the snake out, because I got a snake charmer on one side of my shoulders. This is my analogy. And I have a mongoose on the other. You get the imagery. I have a mongoose and a snake charmer. That snake right there, I can shoo out. But sometimes you just lose your patience. And so what I know to do is you can take that box with the snake in it and shake the living shit out of it and set it down on the floor. And that snake is either coming straight the fuck at you, or it's going right out the door. But either way, that's how you deal with an ego sometimes. And I've done that, and it goes right out the door, because they can't come at me. But it's pointless. Let it go. Watch the show. Stop yelling at them for commenting on your videos. Stop losing your sanity over this. Everyone, let's not let them weigh us down. There's them and there's us. I am not talking to them. I'm talking to us and those out there that might hear my story and recognize some of it.
Yeah.
And if you take anything from it, take it slow. Just awaken and take it slow and love yourself.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah.
I appreciate you and love you, Chad. Thank you for whenever we talk online, you send me the messages, and like I can remote view you, you remote view me, we talk telepathically, and bam, you write something down, and I'm like, dang, don't hurt me. But maybe don't hurt me, right? But it's in a good way. It's kind of like when I tell you straight up, dude, you gotta do this, and I just sit back and I'm like, don't kill the messenger, and you're like, back at you. But it's for our own good. You said it, but you thought it. From White Chick. Anyway. We'll end this for now, but we'll keep talking after. So you want to do another session on another thing on relationships and the gay lesbian thing,
yes,
going on with
people are confused as hell out there right now, and it's being done on, sorry to yell, it's being done on purpose. People are getting gender confused with what divine masculine and feminine is. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's talk about that. Thank you.
Yes. We can do it tomorrow if you want, or I'll talk to you right now after. But Chad, how can people get a hold of you?
Facebook. Get a hold of me on Facebook.
Fake book,
Instagram. You
Instagram.
can get a hold of me there. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm not doing it right now. I have to admit, I have something ahead of me and it's going to take a month. Once I'm settled, I'm doing some of these videos right now, but I'm annexed on someone's property and I don't want the helicopters coming by, and I already told them I don't want I've had a beautiful gift of being invisible my whole life. Those people have the toughest time they've ever had keeping up with me. I lose so many phones. I've moved so many times. They just can't. And so once I start making the videos, I want to be settled. So let me do that. And I get focused on that. And then I'm going to get my business going again here.
That's exactly right. Stay on course. Stay on course. This is what she's saying. Queen of Swords. Stay on course.
Yeah.
Because we need you. We all need you. And
but if there's anybody in this community that needs help, absolutely reach out and just ask. I got the time.
Yeah.
I can have a conversation.
All we have is time here with our, that's the beauty of it. They intended, who ET's government, whatever, intended for us to be in the loony bin or in jail and then mark us with an X saying, oh, they're the misfits, which we talked about in the video previous before this. But you know what? Joke's on them, because we got all the time in the world to mess things up for them and heal ourselves and help others. And that's one thing. When I came back from the sabbatical and how I was infiltrated so many times, I was like, I'm going to come back even stronger. I want to help people like us that are high-minded, that are not just programmed, in society. I want to talk to them.
And we know who we are. You
Yeah.
know who you are.
Yeah.
You can sense the difference, and you don't have to talk about it with them because they take offense to it. I'm talking about it candidly because I already said I'm talking to this platform. I'm talking to those that can hear it.
Those who have eyes.
You know who you are.
Those who have ears.
And if you suspect it.
Those who were blind will see. When you guys contact me or Chad or any of my other people that have been on my shows that I still have contact with, that are still on, on point on our journeys, on our separate journeys and together journeys, missions, I'm here, we're here, we got you, So.
And we're going to take the kind route.
The kind route. I love that. Chad, the kind route. Or should I say your other alias? No, we're not going to go there. Okay. Love you, Chad. And you guys know how to get a hold of me. Love you all. Peace out. Peace in, actually. Peace in. And love yourselves. See you later.
Thank you.
Bye.